Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. I am your host, Andrea Miller, and I'm so excited to bring this show to you. Show Me the Way is a podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. This week, I'm so excited to share a conversation with a very special person who I met early on in my professional career. Kelly Lodish, or Lodes, as many call her. Kelly was my very first manager at my first real job out of college, and honestly, I connected with her from day one. Her positive energy and outlook on life are just contagious. Kelly is an incredible leader and a true fighter. She's faced some really tough challenges with family and health over the years, but she's never let it dim her light. Her strength, determination, and belief that there's always a way through are just so inspiring. She's a rock for her family, and after listening to her story, I know she'll feel like one for you too. You're going to love hearing from her. And again, welcome back to the Show Me the Way podcast. We're just moving right along. We're continuing to put out new episodes every week. And I've been so grateful for your listen and your follow. And today I am beyond excited to welcome my guest, Kelly Lodish. Or I would hear people always call her Lodes. That's what I was thinking about when I was putting this together.
They still do.
They still do. I worked with Kelly my very first job out of college. That was a long time ago. I actually did a co-op assignment at the company, and then I was hired full-time when I graduated. Kelly was the first person I reported to, and I'll never forget my interview with her. She made me feel so comfortable, and I mean, I was a young, naive college girl. I'm talking to Kelly, and she just made everything better. She made me excited to be able to work for the company and to just hopefully be on her team. And I was really blessed that I got to do that. And I was able to work with her for quite a few years. She showed me so much, but most importantly, tried to teach me how to not take myself so seriously and to incorporate fun when I could. And I just took that with me throughout all of my jobs. So since then, I know Kelly has had many different roles. She's led groups, moved up in the ranks in different companies. She's become a wife and a mom and has dealt with so much. I've followed her on social media, but have not seen her in person in a very, very long time. Came across her profile and I just thought, boy, she would be an amazing guest for this show. I know there are different directions that she could take our conversation, but no matter where she decides to go, I know we will learn something and enjoy listening. So since it's been so long, I'll definitely let Kelly have an opportunity to tell us more about her. But first, welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Andrea. And I remember interviewing you, and I thought you were lovely, and I adored you and said, we've got to have this girl in our company. So it was a long time ago.
It was.
Yeah.
But that was a pivot for me because it just led to so many other things. So thank you for that. So yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. But yeah, I've been following you and I've had you on my list. I thought you would be so great for the show, but I'm going to give you a few minutes to kind of tell our listeners a little bit more about you since I just shared kind of things from way back when.
Okay. Well, I'm a mom. I always say I'm a mom, wife, and I'm a marketer. I have a couple superpowers. I'm a twin mom, and I've survived cancer twice. I am married to my high school sweetheart. He is my second husband. And he found me, it's cliche, but 25 years later on Facebook, and we started a romance, and we've been together for 10 years. So, blended family, and it's great. I've spent my career in marketing, predominantly automotive. I've been on the agency side, and I'm now at GM. I've been at GM about 12 years. I did a little bit of a stint in pharmaceutical sales force training, which was kind of interesting. But like I said, predominantly automotive. But I'm a very busy mom of four. I have a 22-year-old son, Anthony, a 16-year-old son, Henry, and boy-girl twins, Kate and Finn, that are 14. So if I'm not at work, I'm either at travel volleyball, golfing, somebody's job, making dinner, whatever it is. But we have a really fun, busy family, and I could not be happier, especially all the things that I've experienced in my life, too. So I'm in a great place. Yeah.
Yeah, you do seem pretty busy, and
Yeah.
at those ages, you're in the thick of it for
I'm
sure.
in the thick of it. Yep. Yep.
Wow. Well, you know a little bit about my story because before we popped on, you said you've been following.
Mhm.
And the reason I put together this podcast was because I wanted to share the story of the journey with my son. So, yeah, I
Mhm.
started off working at a marketing organization. And within that company, I took on some different roles, got into process improvement. And I just thought, I'm
Right.
just going to work up the ranks. I am going to be
Right.
this leader. I had all these corporate plans.
Right. Right.
And when I got my son's diagnosis of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, it was like, okay, there goes those plans.
Right.
And it just was a big teaching moment for me, too, because it was sometimes life just doesn't work out the way you plan. And I think
No.
up until that point, I just figured this is how it's going to look. I'm going to have two
Right.
boys. They're going to play soccer. I just had all
Yeah.
these things set. And
Yeah.
that was really such a turning point in my perspective. So I know you have a lot of situations like that.
Mhm.
We all do. We all have stories to tell, but
Yeah.
you know, I think our listeners can really learn from those that have done it in a graceful and positive way. And it could be any kind of pivot. I mean, some people have
Right.
talked about medical diagnoses, some talked about family moving to different countries, things like that. But really, there's just anything that has happened where
Mhm.
you thought your path was going one way and it kind of changed.
Right.
So, as I said, I know you have a lot of different things that you could talk
Mhm.
on, but I kind of just want to hear what's on your heart, and we'll just
Okay.
see how it goes. So I'll let you go.
So I think the first major pivot, I got married for the first time when I was older, quote unquote. Us girls, you turn 23 and everyone's asking when you're getting married. So,
Right.
oh, you're waiting to get married. So I got married, and you marry someone, you love them, and the intention is to live the rest of your life with them and have kids and be happy. So I had a 2.5-year-old, Henry, and I was pregnant with twins, 16 weeks. And I got a phone call from my husband that he was arrested for something. I won't get into the detail, but suddenly had lost his job. I had actually always had my own career, and I had recently gone freelance so that I could be free to spend more time with the kids. It was kind of the first time I let someone else be responsible for everything. And not only was I shocked, but I thought, how am I going to survive this? My world shattered in 2 minutes. So I remember calling my parents, and I said, I cannot live with someone that had a double life. He essentially had a double life, and I know I can do this. So I went from kind of spending more time with my 2-year-old, enjoying my pregnancy, to the shock of, okay, I'm going to file for divorce. I have to have healthy babies. I'm an older mom. I was 40 when I had my twins. What am I going to do? And so it was extremely embarrassing. I would get calls from people. I had friends at Bunko. They're at a Bunko event with their girls from college. And they'd call, Lodes, are you okay? I just heard this story. And it was just, looking back, I just remember, how the heck did I do it? But I just kind of put my big girl boots on, and my family was very supportive. My sister, my parents, my brother, all of my friends came together, and I said, I would rather live a true life that is honest with integrity. I just could not, this sounds terrible, but I could not forgive him for this, and he had no remorse. So I felt like my whole relationship with him was a lie. And so I had my babies. My sister was in the OR with me. I had a C-section. It was amazing. And I filed for divorce. And I thought, well, I gotta talk about pivot. I'm my OB said, your job is to have healthy babies, and I'm gonna be watching you. And I had to job hunt at the same time. So I had my babies. I was job hunting. I called my friends, networking, my village. I can't tell you how important a village is. And I ended up getting this job in pharmaceutical sales force training, which was ironic. And it was someone that I knew from Carlson, my previous job at an agency, to GM at the time. He said, we are looking for people. So I went back to work when the babies were 8 weeks.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I had Henry, who was 2.5, and Kate and Finn were newborns. and they were almost 8 pounds each, so I had really big, healthy babies. But the funny thing is I was probably the thinnest in my life. I only gained 25 pounds, and my babies were, what, 16? So I think I went
Oh
home
my goodness.
45 to 50 pounds lighter. Um, yeah.
Wow.
So it was kind of a blur, but I just remember, this is gonna sound funny, but my dad always used to tell us, "When it's too tough for them, it's just right for us. You're a Lodi." I come from kinda type A, athletic stock, hardworking people, and I just put one foot in front of the other and took one day at a time. And, I saw a therapist for a while, which was really healthy. He helped me see the world a little more clearly when I'd come in there mad, and he'd help me kinda pick through my feelings. And my parents got me a night nanny, which was a lifesaver. So it was me and my 3 kids in a two-bedroom condo, and I just did it. I got up, I packed them up, I fed them, I took them to daycare, which was right around the corner from where I worked, and a friend of mine ran it. So that was another village person. The community just came together. People were sending me clothes, dropping off diapers. I mean, it was absolutely incredible, but I never, thankfully, felt the weight of, where am I going to live? What will I do? Because I did have my village, because I did have my career, because I did, all those little things. I had a condo. I have been funding a 401k. I'm like, this is just going to be, when it's too tough for them, it's just right for us moment. This is going to be brutal, but I'm going to get through it. And so I just put my head down. I went to work and I raised my kids. I got out once in a blue moon with my friends when I could. And I think my twins were 3 and Henry was 5. My high school sweetheart finds me on Facebook, and I'm like, I'm not even interested in dating. Like,
It was
I'm just
far from your
surviving,
mind. Yeah,
far from
yeah.
my mind. So
Mhm.
we started dating, and a year later, let me think. Year later, he was living in Boston. He moved here. 2 years later, we got engaged, bought a house, and I could not be happier. He is my absolute partner, loves my kids. His son Anthony, he's really my son.
Mhm.
I mean, I've had him since he was 12, and I look at him as my son, and he looks at my 3 children as his kids, and it really turned out to be amazing. And there were some dark, dark, dark moments when I thought, wow. And I remember sitting in a chair, looking up at my mom, saying, "Why is this happening to me?" And she said, "I don't know, but it's going to be okay." And I said, "I believe you, but I just don't see it right now." So I really thought I was going to be married to this guy, and we were going to be happy, and we were going to have these 3 kids, and we were about to buy a house, and I was mad at myself for a long time. Why didn't you see this? But people can hide things when they want. And so it was really, I got through the adversity, and looking back now, I never badmouthed him to my kids, or to my close friends. I might share a little bit more, but I just tried to hold my head high and keep going. As hard as that was, I was just so embarrassed at the situation. So I think that was probably one of the biggest pivotal moments in my adult life, for sure. And I came through it, and every day's a gift. That's the way I look at it, and I enjoy my people and appreciate what I have.
Wow. I It also just showed you how strong you really were,
I didn't
too.
realize it. I thought,
Mhm.
I'm gonna fold here. And I
Mhm.
remember my OB said, "I will special you," which means I'll make sure, there's multiple OBs in the practice. "I'll special you. I'll do your surgery. We'll set the date." I usually do 38-week
Mhm.
C-sections on twins, and everybody really embraced me. And it was
Mhm.
like a text from someone, an email, seeing someone at work. You know how it is when
Right.
just a kind word, even a
Right.
stranger, was just so comforting to me. I can't explain it. And I thought, I'm not a bad person. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be strong. It's okay if I cry when I lay my head down at night a million times, but I'm going to get up. And I think working was helpful. It keeps you going. I'm not sitting at home in it all day. I think I missed my kids. I struggled with that a lot, but I had a great daycare and I spent every moment I could with them, and I'm super close with all of them. And I think they're growing into good, independent, strong people. And maybe that's because that's what I had to deal with. But yeah, it's interesting. You just never know. Your life can change overnight. To your point earlier, whether it's the death of someone, the diagnosis of a child. I also went through breast cancer, which was shocking, but sort of expected because I have a big familial line of breast cancer in my family. I'm the fourth
Oh, wow, okay.
generation. My mom had it, her mom, and her mom. So my sister and I have always said it's going to be one of us, right? So we have been diligent since we were really 30 getting mammograms. And so I did have that diagnosis, but we caught it very early and I did aggressive treatment and I feel good about it. So
Wow.
I get
Although
my annual scans next week, actually.
oh, good. You
Yeah.
said survive it twice, though.
Yeah. So I had breast cancer and then I had kidney cancer.
Oh, wow,
So
okay.
what's interesting is my I had triple negative breast cancer, and we thought, oh, I'm probably BRCA or Lynch syndrome or something. And I went to Carmanos, which is one of the big centers that all they do is cancer, and they said we do a lot of genetic testing. And ironically, I have the colon cancer gene. My mother also has the colon cancer gene because she did genetic testing as well. So when I talked to the doctor, I said, BRCA is an automatic sort of mastectomy and hysterectomy, right? That's what Angelina Jolie made it famous, right? The preventative.
Mhm.
So I don't have BRCA, but I have the colon cancer gene. I think it's MUYTH. And he said, you know, we don't have the data, but we know some things are related. So if you want to have a hysterectomy and an oophorectomy, I will do it for you. So in that, I had multiple scans to get ready for my hysterectomy, and they found a couple of spots on my kidney, one of which was benign, and one of which ended up being a low-grade papillary tumor. So I had to go in and have part of my kidney resected a year later. So it was crazy. I had a double mastectomy, chemotherapy, a hysterectomy, oophorectomy, and then a year later, I had that spot removed. And he did it laparoscopically, which was incredible. And so now I get scanned every year. I get MRIs of breast and abdominal. I'm actually having them next week, and so far so good. Knock on wood. And
Yeah.
I did aggressive treatment because I thought I have these kids. I'm not gonna it was my choice. Everybody does their own thing, but for me, I did very aggressive treatment. And I also grew up, my dad was a cancer surgeon and he trained at Sloan Kettering. So we grew up being aggressive, doing all kinds of screening. So yeah. So
Wow.
again, I just said, okay. And it was during COVID, which was ironic timing.
Mhm.
So I could kind of nestle in my house, do my treatments. I worked through the whole thing, except 3 weeks after I had my surgery, which kept me going again. I'm going to say that getting out and having something to do kept me going, using my brain. And I just got through it. There's support groups that you can join, Facebook groups. Carmanos had a lot of groups, people to talk to. So yeah, and I never did the victim thing like, why me? I said, well, this sucks and this is brutal and here we go again. But you, I just can't, and you're allowed to lay in your bed and waddle in it for a while, but you just have to keep going somehow, especially for your kids,
Mhm. I
and
love
your
that.
spouse and your family. So, but again, I had unbelievable family support. Both my parents, my dad passed away a year ago, but they were very prominent in my life and very helpful. And just that phone call that let me come over, let me, my dad certainly made a couple calls to get me in for quick appointments, which was really great. But yeah, I mean, and you're not alone. That's the other thing. Just when you think you're crying in your bed at night or you're driving down the road and you're, spacing off thinking, how is this my life, or why is this happening to me? You're not alone, and it will get better. I just had a conversation with my niece who's struggling a little bit in her life, busy with work and just feeling overwhelmed. And I just kept saying to her, I promise you it will get better. And you can't see it yet, but this is not the forever. And that was the thing I had to keep telling myself. This is not forever. It's got to get better. It's got to get better.
I love that. That's such good advice. I think a
Yeah.
lot of us, it's something that I really found with my son's diagnosis. It's like immediately you start thinking about
Yes.
what the rest of life looks like. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, what's it going to be like when he's 16, 18,
Yeah.
20? You know, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so overwhelming, and you get stuck, like paralyzed when you think that way.
That's
So,
the perfect word, paralyzed, like you
mhm.
can't even move. And I remember seeing your Facebook post, infusion number
Oh,
105. I
yeah.
mean, I know what an infusion is, you know.
Yes,
I
you
had a
do.
bunch of them. So I just my heart kept going out to you, and I remember saying to my husband, I'm like, "Oh my god." And he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking at Facebook and I'm just reading Andrea's page, and her poor boy has a terrible diagnosis, and she's driving to Chicago getting infusions. Like, it's brutal for her right now." So, people, I think, especially with social media, have this Pollyanna lifestyle, like, "Oh, I'm perfect, for professional photographer taking the pictures of us in the fall with the leaves." It's not always what it seems. People don't always talk about what's going on. That's another thing I learned. You never know what's going on in someone else's life. People don't talk about it,
That's for
you
sure, and
know?
even the show, it's like I'll have people on that maybe I talk to every day, and then I'll find out something new that I didn't even
Right,
know. Once
right.
you open the door, sometimes you really
Yeah.
let it all out, and you hear a lot of things.
This is so random, but a girl that works at GM, she had been on maternity leave, and I had switched teams, so I hadn't met her yet. She came back after a year, and her name was Cherish. Is Cherish. She's so sweet. And I said, "How you doing today?" And she was like, got all teary-eyed, and she said, "You're the first person that's asked me." I said, "Well, you came back from a year maternity leave. I mean, it's hard anyway, but a year." And she's like, "It's been brutal. It's been really hard for me today. I just want to go home." And I said, I just gave her a big hug. I'm like, "I don't know you, but," and she just said, so we became fast friends, but she said, "It's so weird because we're in a professional environment, so people don't want to be vulnerable. And I wish they would be."
Mhm.
And so she said, "I just kept walking around and I felt like it was sterile, and, I quiet, and I'm just trying to get through the day." And so I think maybe when you do go through these pivotal things, maybe you do have more empathy or are more sensitive. I don't know if you feel that way, Andrea, to other people.
Yeah, I definitely do. I think I'm very open to there's probably more to the story if they're having a bad day or something like that.
Right.
But also a few of my guests and myself, we've talked about like even seeing siblings or like I want to talk to
Mhm.
you about your kids.
Yeah.
Like my older son, I don't know, my the one with Duchenne, Nathan, he always says, Nick is your favorite. And I'm like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
talk a little bit too good about him.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
he has this, Nick has this like sensitivity and this empathy and this understanding because he has a brother that he's seen go
Yeah.
through so much. So I do definitely think it just changes the way that you go
Mhm.
through life.
Mhm.
And not that other people don't have empathy, but it's just different. Even watching him with his friends, you can just see this difference
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's very special. So yeah, I definitely want to kind of talk about your kids in that way. But before
Mhm.
I do, I really liked what you were saying about like that. I know you said it was random, but what a great story. I've really been trying to do better about that. Like if somebody crosses your mind, send them a text. Um,
Absolutely.
I don't think we do that enough.
We don't, and I will tell you, I mentioned earlier, my dad passed away a year ago, and he had moderate dementia. So he knew who we were, but he was starting, he would say, I'm getting dinged. Like he even knew it. And so when he passed away, I cannot tell you the texts, the comments, his patients that came to the funeral home, the letters,
Wow.
it was so heartwarming. I got texts from people from college. "Lodes, I heard your dad died. Rock and Doc. Oh my God, I'm thinking of you." So when you're going through a hard time like that, it means the world to you. Like when you're driving to an infusion with your son and one of your besties or your sibling texted you and said thinking about you, weren't you like, "Oh, I'm not alone."
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
So
Yeah.
that's a message for our
Yeah.
listeners right
It is a
now.
message. Yeah. Just say,
Yeah.
just ask. And,
Mhm.
I heard another interesting thing the other day. Someone said if you know someone that had a family member pass away, don't always ask immediately, how did they die? But ask, tell me about the person. What was he like? Which I found fascinating. I thought, God, the first thing you always ask is what
Right.
happened,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, you got a great podcast. I'm a believer. I'll tell you that because
Thank you.
kindness is everything,
Mhm.
especially when you're hurting and you don't want to put your dirty laundry out, right? You're just trying to
Right.
deal with it yourself.
Just
So
get through that day. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, one of our recent guests a couple weeks ago, she talked about the death of her parents and you're right, when she started sharing her memories of her parents, like her smile just
Oh
lit
yeah.
up and that's what she wanted to talk about. She didn't want to say, "Oh my gosh, after my mom died, it was the worst time of my life." She wanted
Right.
to say, "My mom when we were kids, she taught me this and she took
Right.
me on this trip."
Yeah.
And so that's a very good point that you make.
Yeah. Yeah.
People want to they want to
Yeah.
talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, getting back to your kids, they were very young when
Mhm.
they all of a sudden had just mom. In fact, two
Right.
of them
Right.
weren't even born. They've really gotten to see you though. They've got front row seat to see how mom handles things and how strong
Yeah.
she is and that they could be strong too and that they're not alone. Do you
Mhm.
think they recognize that as they're getting older?
Yes, because their dad is still in their life. He sees them a couple days a week and they're getting older, so they're 14 to 22. And so they'll say things like, "Oh, mom, how did you do it with 3 kids? Mom, you're really," because he was a little bit absent for a while, but they would say, "Wow, you," and they call my husband Fat Cat, their
I've seen
stepdad.
you post that.
Yes.
Okay.
So, "You and Fat Cat, like, God, you guys basically do everything." And they'll say, like, "We can come to you and talk about anything." And they'll say, "Mom, you really are strong." And I'm not vocal about what happened. I always say that this is part of having grace. Your dad loves you. He's your dad. You're half your dad, you're half me. I loved your dad and we got married with the right intention, but sometimes moms and dads don't always stay together. That's where I leave it. Because if you bash the other person, you're bashing them. It doesn't matter how you stack it. So they are older now, to your point, recognizing like, Mom, you get up and you're busting your hump, getting lunches together, getting us to school, going to work. Sometimes I'm like, I'm on a call, we got to work together. Somebody's got to pick somebody up. And so it makes me feel good because they are starting to say those things. And I don't need a trophy and I don't need accolades. Again, I just want to raise good people. But once in a while, it's nice to hear like, "You've been through a lot, girl." Like, that's good for you. But my friends always say that I did handle it with grace because, again, I didn't do that victim mentality of poor me. And, I didn't have time. I had to put
Right.
my helmet on and go. So,
I
yeah, but
think
they've
that
been,
is
they've
great.
been my absolute joy and my strength through this all too. Because not only do I want to do it for them, but they're good kids and hopefully we're doing something right. And that's all you want is you want to raise good humans. But I I'm blessed in that they're very open about that with me. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I
Mhm.
assumed, but yeah, definitely wanted to
Yeah.
hear how that's going. I think when they see their parent acting like that, then it
Yeah.
just really sets them
Yeah.
up. Not that they're going to be perfect; they're going to make
Right.
mistakes like we all
Right.
did, but
Right.
they have that solid foundation. Like
Mhm.
I saw my mom do it, I can do it too.
Exactly.
That's my big thing for my kids. I don't want them to think I can't do that. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I
Mhm.
don't want them to doubt that they can go after and try things and go after their joy. Even Nathan in a wheelchair, like, go
Yeah.
after it,
He's
dude.
so
Your life
cute.
is short.
I'm like, I want to meet Nathan. He's
Oh,
so
yeah,
cute.
we
He
need to
looks
make
like
that
he's got a
happen.
good personality.
Oh, people
Yeah.
love him.
Yeah, I'm sure. And kids, they all do different things. So I try to help them, you know, I had a kid, one of them failed his first anatomy test and then he got a 4 point after that. I said, "Let's get with the teacher and learn how to study right because you did study, but
Right.
you must not have studied. Maybe she could help you." 10-minute conversation, he's got a 4 point in the class. I'm like, "See, if you reach out first of all, it shows them that you're interested. And she said, I was so surprised because he's very engaged, but it was how he did. It was like a matching section of the test. He totally bombed it. And she said, this is how you study. And he's like, oh, I totally get it. Or my son played baseball and he doesn't anymore, but we'd have conversations about striking out, or I want to play this position. My daughter plays volleyball and she was struggling. I'm not playing very well. That whole mental side of the game. Anthony, my oldest, went to Michigan State and he was a 2020 graduate, and that was COVID. So he missed out on Punta Cana spring break. He missed out on a real graduation. And he was up at Michigan State living in an apartment because all the dorms were closed, or most of them. And that was a weird first year onset into college. So he came home for a couple weeks and learned, similar to my other son, call your profs. They're there to help you. Everything's virtual. It was just a weird time. And I can't
Mhm.
imagine at his age going to college and just living in an apartment. Now, I'm sure it's fun because you're away from home,
Right.
but how do you hope that they have good study habits, but they were like out to sea,
Right.
just jumping on these video conference calls. So, they all have their things, and we all have to teach things. I'm sure you have to teach Nathan different things, how to
Mhm.
have conversation, making friends. Things are going to be different, and his older brother, how he relates. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
got
there's
it. Yeah.
there's no guide, right?
There's no guide. No. No, my OB
So
told me, I was like, "Oh my god, do I have to take this baby home?" My first baby. I'm like, "What am I gonna do?" He goes, "Well, I threw out the how-to manual with your placenta in the OR. Sorry," which is probably graphic, but I was dying laughing. I'm like,
that's
"Oh
hysterical.
my god." He goes, "You'll be fine. You'll be fine."
I remember when I brought Nick home, my husband and I, we just, like, sat on the couch and just, like, stared at him, like, "What are we supposed to
Yes,
do now?"
I know. And you're like, "Oh my god, is the bottle ready? Oh my
Right.
god,
Like,
can you
what
breastfeed?
if he
Can you
falls?
breastfeed?
Yeah.
What? Oh my god." Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, for sure, that's so funny, but I just keep telling people, you'll say, "Oh," you talk to friends that have, like, toddlers or 4 or 5, 6-year-olds, and they're like, "This is so hard," or the ones that are
Yeah.
crazy with soccer and sports, baseball, dance, everything going on,
Yep.
and it's crazy, we're driving them all over the place, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, when they get 18, it'll be so different," but now it's even scarier because they're, like,
Yeah.
almost adults, but they're
Right.
not, so, yeah, that chapter of the manual is completely missing.
Oh, yeah, there's no manual. And,
Yeah.
people do things, and kids are gonna, explore life and
Yes.
the world. I was thinking about this the other day. The world starts to hurt them when they get out and they're older, and
You can't protect them anymore.
can't.
Yeah.
No, you
Mhm.
can't. So,
That's very
mhm.
true. So tell me more about Fat Cat.
Oh my gosh, Fat Cat. So Fat Cat, Fat Cat is actually the absolute love of my life. He always was. So we dated all all of senior year in high school, but I had met him previously.
Okay.
And we dated for a year, and then he went to Indiana University to play baseball, and I went to Western Michigan. So we both moved into our respective colleges. I went to visit him once, and I said, "How are we going to do this?" He's 5 hours away. We had no phones then.
Well, right.
So I drove back to Western, and I was pontificating like, how this is going to be too hard. So he'll say, we joke about it all the time. He's like, "Yeah, you dumped me." So I call him. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to do this. Like, we need to break up. So we broke up. And for a long time, I thought, oh God, he's really mad at me. Like, and I did not run into him because he was living in Indiana. He played baseball at Indiana. Then he had an opportunity to play in the minor leagues for the Yankees in Florida for a couple years, and he threw his elbow out pitching. It's the same story you hear all the
Right.
time, right? The
Yeah.
guy's dreamed
Mhm.
since he was, 3.
Right.
So he went back to Indiana, and he coached baseball there for 25 years. Then he was married. Then he moved to Connecticut and worked at Hartford as the head baseball coach, and then after that moved to Harvard as the one of the assistants. He had a friend that was the new Harvard baseball coach. He said, "I want you to come to Boston. We're building this team." So then he found me on Facebook. So We were bantering back and forth for about 6 months, and he said, "Why don't you come see me?" And I was like, "Well, how am I got these kids, like, my life looks sweet on paper. I've got a 5-year-old and I've got 2 3-year-olds, I'm divorced." And he goes, "You don't need me. You've got your own career. Like, let's go. I'd love to see you." So I met him in Chicago in June of 2015, and I went for 4 days, which was kinda crazy, but I knew him. I mean, we had been
Right.
talking.
You
I'm
were
like, "Oh my
comfortable.
god," it was
Mhm.
like, "I saw you yesterday," and he
Right.
said to me, I'll never forget this, he said, "Remember, we were really good friends. We actually liked each other." I'm like
Before you dated, yeah.
I'm like, "You're right." And then I remembered his wit, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to see Jeff Calcaterra," right? So I went to Chicago, and I was like, "I could I could be crying on the way home here," you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. So on the 3rd night, he looked at me and he said, "We gotta talk about what's going on here because we like each other, but we're 1,000 miles apart." And I was like and I started crying. I'm like, "I know, I don't know how we're gonna do this." And he said, "Well, there's airplanes. We can fly back and forth." And he goes, we could even get married." And I said, "I'm getting married when pigs fly. Again, I'm getting married again when pigs fly," is what I told him. And he started laughing and he goes, "Well, pigs are flying." So I was like, "Okay." So for a year, we went back and forth. I kid you not. And I was like, "Okay, this could be just fun." He's like, "This is happening." I'm like, "It is, isn't it?"
Whether you like it or not, yeah.
Yes. And I said, "I should have trust issues or something, but I absolutely don't." And I cannot explain it. I swear it was divine intervention.
Mhm.
It literally just fell into place. He said his stepfather had cancer, and he said he's not doing well. "I haven't been home in 30 years." He's an only child. He said, "I need to find my way back to Michigan." He had been divorced. He had Anthony, and he said, "Anthony lives with me, and I'm moving back to Michigan. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is happening." And I was like, "Oh my God." So we FaceTimed every night. Thank God for phones. He was
Right.
texting me all day long. It was like he was there. Thank God for that. And we were both the custodial parents with our kids. And we had kind of similar divorce situations. And we had that old love. He's like, "We have unfinished business." Like, it really was that pitter patter, right? And it's cliche, but so when I think it was a year later, one of my friends texted me and said, "There's the Brother Rice athletic director. Brother Rice High School has the athletic director job open," which was his alma mater. We went to Marion and Brother Rice. Swear to God.
Stop it.
And I said, "Really?" She said, "He'd be perfect for it." So I called him. I'm like, "Listen, I don't want to be the girl that says apply for this job, but you keep saying you really want to come to Michigan." He goes, "That would be my dream job." So he calls the president and says, "I think I missed the deadline. It was yesterday. Can I apply?" And he said, "Absolutely." Out of 50 people, he got the job. I remember I was at work and he called me crying, "I got the job." And all my coworkers were like, "He got the job." So then he moved here in July and we said, let's live separate because we got to blend kids and we got to do this right." So he got an apartment and I had my condo. And so we lived for a year. We'd go over there and like watch Star Wars movies, have a slumber party. They'd come to my house. We'd do meals. They'd be invited to all the family stuff. We really welcomed Anthony because Anthony was an only child. He was 13, so he was going into 8th grade. So we did that for a year. And then a year later, we bought our house and got married. And seriously, it has been relatively seamless for a second marriage, blending kids. I mean, it takes a minute to, how you flip your eggs, but honest to God, it really, I was like, this was supposed to happen.
I know, my gosh, and I'm so glad that I asked you
And I'm
about
so
him.
happy because he truly is my life partner
Yeah,
and absolutely has my back. You
that
know what
is
I
an
mean?
amazing
Like when
feeling, yeah.
I was going through my cancer treatments, it was weird because it was COVID. No one could be there. He was there for the surgeries, but he's like, "I'm dropping you off. I'm picking you up. I'm your husband. I want to be in the meeting." He snuck into one of my appointments. The guy's like, "How'd you get in here? You're not supposed to be here. It's COVID." He goes, "I snuck in. I need to be here." So I really feel like he's a true partner. Whether it's our crazy schedule, every Sunday we sit and go through the schedule. Okay, who's picking? Finn needs to go to caddy school. Kate's going to volleyball. He has a car, so he's good. He's going to work. I mean, it's hilarious, but we love it, and I, I truly, honestly couldn't be happier. So there is light at the end of the tunnel after horrible, horrible adversity and things. I truly
Wow.
believe that you can find it somewhere. It may take time. And all my friends were having babies, stay-at-home wives, husbands were building careers, companies, whatever. And I thought, oh, here I am in a condo with 3 kids, and my ex-husband is a felon, and oh my God. And you know what? I did it. And I'm proud of myself. And it ended up great.
Wow. Well, I'm proud
Mhm.
of you too.
Thank you.
That I'm so glad I asked about him.
Yeah,
I don't know, I felt like it was gonna
he's a
be a
good
good
egg.
part
Yeah,
of the story, and it
yeah,
really
yeah.
was because,
It was.
like, you guys could have tried to make it work during college, but you wouldn't have experienced any of the other things that you experienced. You wouldn't have
No,
the children you have. Like,
no.
all of that was for a reason. I
Mhm.
strongly believe it just wasn't the time. But
We say that all the time. He's like, it shouldn't be our 8th wedding anniversary.
it should be.
It should be our 30 whatever. And I said, we might not have made it.
Right,
I don't
right.
know.
I
Like, we
know.
appreciate each other more now, and we wouldn't have our beautiful kids. And,
Right. Yep.
and Anthony's been the best big brother to them.
Oh, that's
So,
wonderful.
yeah,
That's wonderful. Yeah, and I also like that you said, I'm gonna get married when pigs fly. You never
right,
know. You truly don't
right,
know what
right.
tomorrow brings. That's a perfect example of that. And I also really like that you talked about true partner because
Oh, yeah.
as we get older, that is so important in a marriage. I mean, you think, oh, I should be attracted to him, and we need that whole component. And then, he has to have a good job, and I
Yep,
want security and
yep.
all of that. But I think the partnership, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that, especially what we dealt with
Oh, yeah.
Nathan. Like, I don't know how people do it without a partner. And maybe
Mhm,
it's a best friend, or like you were talking about your village, but
mhm.
having a husband as a partner is very important, and I wouldn't
Very
trade
important.
that for
And
anything.
you're right. I think when you're younger, and I think I mentioned earlier, everyone was getting married and this and that. And this
Mhm,
guy,
mhm.
he's gorgeous and he's got
Yeah.
this job and he's this and that. And when are you getting married? Who are you dating? And you fall into this trap of like, wait a minute, what's wrong with me?
Mhm,
And all that material stuff and all that physical stuff is important, but it goes away. It's what's inside. It's, do you have that bond? Do you have each other's back? Is it
mhm.
unconditional? And if it is, all that stays anyway. You're going to be
Right.
attracted to the person, right? And
Yeah, for sure.
I,
Yeah, like,
I
all the jobs I've had, all the different routes I've taken, I'm like, "Hey, Ryan, guess what I wanna do now?" And he's just
right,
like, "Oh, okay.
whatever. I
We'll
gotcha.
figure it out."
We'll figure it out. Right,
Yep.
right. Yep. So absolutely. So it's been crazy, and we used to joke around that I should have a Lifetime movie or write a book. I'm not. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that could do the same. I think it has all made me very grateful. Every single, and I've talked about kind of 3 major things: divorce, cancer, and the death of my dad. When he had his dementia later, I remember spending a ton of time with him, my kids. I'm like, we gotta spend time with Papa. And we'd go on. He'd call it going on tour. We'd go to lunch. We'd go get a Lafayette Coney, whatever. And I tr- and back to that empathy thing, I think I try to bring his legacy into my kids more. And I want to teach them the important things that help me get through all these things in life.
Mhm,
Because sometimes you don't like your math teacher, sometimes you don't like your boss, sometimes you don't like this, sometimes your coach is a jerk, whatever, whatever. You're going to be able to get through that if you have some foundation and understanding that sometimes times are tough and you just
mhm.
gotta put your bootstraps up, and maybe it's say the rosary, maybe if you pray, maybe it's meditate, yoga,
Yeah,
go running. A lot of people
yeah,
I know that are big runners, that's their escape. um but it will get better.
yeah, and the whole, you kind of made me think of the whole coping thing. I think
Yeah,
a lot of times, my parents and people of older generations will say that kids nowadays, they don't know
Oh,
how to cope. You hear that, but sometimes it is true. And especially like you brought up COVID. I mean, that was a very difficult time, very
yeah,
weird,
yeah.
very out of the ordinary. Kids had to do weird things.
Yes, they
And
did.
and the coping, so showing your
Yeah.
kids that you can get through this, there is light, like you said, at the end of the
Mhm.
tunnel. Like,
Mhm.
I think that's so important. And I
Yeah.
think it's very valuable that you shared that because other
Yeah.
parents, listeners
Yeah.
can really take that. Like, don't forget to
Right.
teach them how to deal with, even like you said, little things like you don't like your teacher. Don't panic. It's not the end of the
Right.
world. Here's how we're
Yeah.
going to get through it. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta kind of kill them with kindness and get through it, and in 10 years, you might not like your first boss, you know?
Right.
And I when I think of my parents, they were the silent generation, and my mom would say, "Oh, we didn't talk about those things," or
Mm-hmm.
when I grew up, my mother this or that. I think our generation is much more open with our kids,
Definitely.
and, you can tell me anything, and you're not gonna be in trouble if you're honest, and I think, they have to deal with way more than we did. What did we
Mm-hmm.
worry about? Calling each other on our phone with our long cord,
Right.
where are we meeting and what time? They're not getting invited to something and then seeing their friends somewhere on social media, and it's hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a different thing to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I for one loved my first boss, so that
Oh,
was that was Kelly. But
and I
you're right.
loved you. I told you, I'm like, we got to hire her. She's awesome. And you were
Yeah,
so
what
cute. You had this blue suit on. It was awesome. I'm like, she's
remember
adorable.
they used to call me baby Andrea, remember?
Yeah.
Now
Yes,
now I'm
baby Andrea.
old
I
lady
know.
Andrea over here,
No.
but it was so awesome just
Yeah.
connecting with you. It's funny that I mean, social media is tough for a lot of the
Right.
reasons that you brought up, but it also allows us to
It's
follow
wonderful
each
too.
other. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
we
just
connected. Yeah.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
just thought, if I wonder if, and I thought about it for a few minutes, like went back and forth, like, do you think she
Yeah.
would do it? I don't know. And then I'm like,
Mhm.
why not? Let's see what she says. And you were like,
Right.
yeah. I'm like,
Right.
awesome. So
Right.
it felt
Right.
really right. And I think yes, you've been through it, girl. You've been through
We've all
it, and
been through it.
you've
That's
got the
okay.
stories,
Yeah.
but people can really learn by everything
Yeah.
that you shared. I just think it's so
Thank
impactful,
you.
the
Yeah.
perspective that you have.
You just got to
So
do kind of inventory and stay positive. You
for
have
sure,
to stay positive.
for
That's
sure.
big too.
And
Mhm.
I remember
So,
that about you too. Just you just lit
mhm.
up the whole office when you
Oh,
were
you're
around.
sweet.
Everyone was happy and joyful, and so I'm really glad you were able to find that even in your
Yeah.
darkest days.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So
too.
yeah, like I said, proud of you. And I usually say, what kind of perspective did you learn? What other piece of
I
advice do
think
you
we
want to
covered
share?
it.
But we covered a lot. Yeah. I think that people are really going to be able to benefit from what you're sharing. And, they
Mhm.
may not go through all of the things that you went through, but even just a little pivot, just understanding
Mhm.
that you can do it with
Mhm.
grace. You can do it counting on your village, counting on your friends, counting on your husband as your partner.
Yeah.
And it's
And
something
you
for us
gotta
all to
look
take.
back too, and you can't think, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that or I'd change something." I wouldn't have my beautiful kids. I
Right.
wouldn't have my perspective and I just know, as you get older, you look at life a little bit differently, and it is what it is. It's life. It's not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be easy. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. A path was created for
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
and sometimes
Yeah.
it's up, sometimes it's
Yep.
down.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
well, thank you so much for sharing all of your
Thanks for having me.
story and for being on here, of course.
This is
Um,
great.
I can't wait for our listeners to hear all of your perspective and your great advice. And yeah, it was really fun to catch up and to see your
Awesome.
face. And I
You
wish you
too.
nothing but the best. And I hope
You
that
too.
next week's scans are clear and
They're
you're
gonna
still
be I
good
know
to
they're
go.
gonna be because 'cause I'm a Lodi and I can do it.
Yes, I love that. All right. Thank you,
Alright, have a
Kelly.
great day. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me for the Show Me the Way podcast. I truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. I hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If this episode touched your heart, don't forget to leave a quick review as it will help us reach and motivate more people. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.